First up are the Combustion Belly Spiderlings. These vile beasts have volatile blood, taking necrotic damage each turn and detonating upon death via Spiderling Burst, dealing 3d6 fire damage. Now, in order to see the crazy Combustion Belly Spiderlings, a few choices must be made. First, you'll need to have Wyll choose to break his pact with Mizora, dooming his father to die. Then, you'll need to head to the Iron Throne where, surprisingly, Wyll's father is still alive. It's a pretty intense moment as the Iron Throne is collapsing, and the moment you open the lever to Wyll's father's prison, you can actually eerily hear Mizora start laughing. Once you have control of the Duke and tell him to step out of the prison, a cutscene begins and Mizora summons a swarm of these Combustion Belly Spiderlings to detonate on the Duke, fulfilling her promise that he would die if Wyll chose to break the pact. And it is possible to save the Duke from this swarm of Combustion Belly Spiderlings by throwing healing potions at him or casting heals, but it can be tricky considering the nature of these spiders, which are basically living bombs. Next up is the Staff of Cherished Necromancy, what might be the most OP staff in the entire game. That's because this staff grants life essence after the wielder kills a creature with a spell. Life essence makes your next necromancy spell not cost a spell slot. This already sounds great, but what's really overpowered about this is that it never goes away. You can even unequip the staff and pass it over to another party member and get them the buff too. So essentially, once you get this staff, necromancy spells don't use spell slots for your whole party. This is insane because some necromancy spells would use a level 6 spell slot, but with this life essence, you can just keep using them every single turn for free. Of course, necromancer wizards would get the most out of this, but even classes like clerics, oathbreaker paladins, bards, warlocks, rogues, and druids have access to necromancy spells and can benefit from this staff's amazing life essence condition. And if you like that tip, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe for more Baldur's Gate 3 videos. Next up is Edge of Terror. Now, Edge of Terror causes each strike to fill the target with a chilling dread, which prevents it from regaining hit points, and undead creatures also get disadvantage on their attack rolls. Edge of Terror can be found on one weapon in the entire game, Doomhammer. This two-handed maul is the perfect weapon to stop targets from healing, guaranteed, and that's thanks to tenacity. When you miss an attack, you deal 3 bludgeoning damage anyway. That 3 bludgeoning damage is enough to trigger Edge of Terror, meaning that any attack, even a miss, will prevent healing on your target. This is especially good against targets that frequently heal, like humanoids using healing potions, against Minthara using Lay on Hands, Githyanki warriors using Second Wind, or even the lava elemental in the Grimforge who heals by standing in lava. Doomhammer is also especially good against Cazador, who is both an undead and heals, and there are tons of undead type creatures in Act 2, making this really an incredible maul thanks to giving undead creatures disadvantage on attack rolls, especially on the undead bosses you fight in Act 2. And next up is how to become immune to curses. Now, there are a number of curses in Baldur's Gate 3, especially in Act 3, and there is also an item that can grant immunity to curses for Jaheira through an effect called Odd Gift. This item is called Khalid's Gift. This item also grants +1 to Wisdom, which is great for clerics and druids, and you can also cast Aid, which increases your hit point maximum by 10. To get Khalid's Gift, you'll need to head to Elarathan's home, found just southwest of the Baldur's Gate waypoint in Act 3. Once inside, you'll need a Harper pin in order to unlock the hidden stairwell under Jaheira's desk. You can find Harper pins in many places in previous acts, but there's also conveniently one upstairs. Once you're in the basement, you just need to get around some traps and unlock a door disguised as a dresser, and this item is yours. While you're there are also 2 other very rare items you can pick up. One is Helm, which is a +2 scimitar, which grants whirlwind attack, which can deal some very nice AoE damage, and it also has perfectly balanced strike, which can be used as a bonus action each turn, and this weapon can also be found in Baldur's Gate 2 and was considered one of the best items in that game. And then there's also Staff of the Ram, which gives you a chance on hit to knock your target back and stun them, which isn't bad at all since stuns are very useful at making an enemy skip their turn. And next up is how to create a timed bomb. There is an item called Autoluke's Conveniently Portable Freezing Sphere, which after 10 turns deals 10 to 60 cold damage in a large area. This item is created through a level 6 evocation spell called Autoluke's Freezing Sphere, which is available at level 11 for wizards. Once you create the sphere, the next step is to quietly place it into an unsuspecting victim's pocket. Once in there, distance yourself and get ready to watch the fireworks. This is really great on creatures that wander, allowing you to distance yourself from the explosion once your bomb goes off. And next up is an alternative use for perform. Now, perform is a class action available to bards, which can be used to generate gold, but it also does a great job of gathering everyone up around you. This can be used to set up a powerful ambush. First, place a bunch of smoke powder bombs on the ground, then start performing while standing on top of them. A crowd will quickly form around you, and once everyone is in position, go into turn-based mode, and then create some distance between you and the bombs that you gathered everyone around. Then it's as simple as setting off the bombs with a source of fire, and you've quickly and easily cleared an area of enemies. And next up is the Holy Lance Helm. This helm causes radiant damage to any creature who misses an attack roll against the wearer if they fail a dexterity saving throw. This helm is paired perfectly with items like luminous armor, which spreads radiating orb to nearby creatures when the wearer deals radiant damage. Radiating orb gives -1 to attack rolls per stack of radiating orb, so as a creature misses, they only increase their chance to miss again because of this combination. Throw in luminous gloves, which gives 2 stacks of radiating orb when dealing radiant damage, and the radiating orbs will get applied like crazy, causing tons of radiant damage and further reducing your enemy's chance to hit, and the cycle just compounds upon itself. And you can find this helm hidden on the roof of the Rosimorn Monastery in a chest that surprisingly isn't even locked. And next up is how to get Balthazar to actually join you against Shar's minions. In Act 2 within the Gauntlet of Shar, there's a fight sequence where Shar's umbral tremors summon a large number of dark justiciars. At the same time, right behind a massive locked door, Balthazar and his minions simply wait for you to defeat them. But by using the spell Knock, you can actually open this door, which would otherwise require succeeding a DC 30 roll to lockpick. And then once you open the door, Balthazar and his minions will actually join in the fight. And this actually lets you get 2 birds stoned at once. You can just wait this fight out inside Balthazar's room, and as the fighting whittles down to the last few, you can kind of just swoop in and defeat the weakened Balthazar and Dark Justiciars and save yourself from having to face Balthazar alone later on. And next up is a hidden interaction with the Harper Blade. In Act 2, if you haven't discovered Last Light In yet, you can actually encounter Lysandra and her band of Harpers in the northeast part of the Shadow-Cursed lands. Jonas, one of the Harpers, gets consumed by the Shadow Curse as the group is ambushed. If you keep Megan alive during this fight and loot Jonas's Harper Blade, you can later find Megan holding a funeral for Jonas. If you talk to Megan, you can learn more about Jonas and how much Megan cared for him. You can then offer his sword to her, which she will appreciate and actually reward you with 125 gold. Not really the greatest of rewards, but it's a dialogue that's extremely hidden, considering you, number 1, have to find their group before you find Last Light In, and 2, know to bring his sword to her. And next up are 4 amazing items, all from one creature. In Act 3, there are 2 quests you can complete at the same time and get a ton of items from it. 1 is Avenge the Hag Survivors, and 2 is Save Vanra. By completing both of these quests, you can get a number of very rare, powerful items. From Avenge the Hag Survivors, Mayrina gives you the Fey Semblance Amulet. This amulet gives you advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. Advantage on 3 different types of saving throws is incredible because it lets you use the higher of 2 rolls when attempting to save yourself from certain spells, hostile actions, or hazards. From actually slaying the hag and looting her corpse, you'll find the Ring of Feywild Sparks. Now, this ring is more fun than practical in my opinion. If you're a wild magic sorcerer, while wearing this ring, anytime you cast a spell, you'll trigger a wild magic surge. A wild magic surge has a number of random effects, from turning everyone around you into a cat or a dog, to summoning a hostile Cambion, or even giving you an action surge. So there are some beneficial wild magic surges as well, but wild magic is unpredictable. For that reason, I would say it's not really always a good thing to have wild magic happen every single time you cast a spell, but it could be really amusing to play around with all the different wild magic surge effects. And then the last 2 items you get from the Saving Vanra quest, Duelist Prerogative and Amulet of the Wind Rider. The amulet lets you turn into a gaseous form, which lets you travel into small holes, pipes, and burrows easily. This form form also gives you resistance to all damage and advantage on most saving throws, so it's a really nice defensive ability. You also get Gust of Wind, which pushes back enemies and clears all clouds, which could be useful to get rid of things like fog, cloud kill, or darkness. And last, Duelist Prerogative. This legendary rapier is the only item in the game that gives you an additional reaction per turn. This is great considering how many reactions there are in Baldur's Gate 3. There are literally 2 just from Illithid powers, Psionic Backlash and Charm. It also gives you increased critical strike chance and Withering Cut. On a hit, you can use a reaction to deal additional necrotic damage equal to your proficiency bonus. And this rapier and the amulet are from the quest Save Vanra, so you'll need to make sure to go to the Hag Survivors and get the recipe for Hagsbane from them, which, when thrown at Ethel, is how you get her to regurgitate Vanra, safely getting her home to Laura. And then, once you defeat the Hag, Laura rewards you with these 2 items for saving Vanra.